Hey everybody, it's Debbie Meighan and I'm back in the kitchen. A little bit late coming to you tonight. I had some evening appointments and so I got a little bit delayed. I find that this happens a lot during the summertime because it stays light so late and, doesn't really feel like it's that late out. But, sure enough, here it is almost 7 o'clock and I'm just making dinner now. But the good thing is that I planned ahead. And I have a meal that comes together literally in just a few minutes, and it's so super easy. I'm excited to show it to you. I'm actually going to be doing two recipes tonight. First, I'm going to be making the world's best gazpacho. And the reason that I'm making that is, I went to the farmer's market this weekend and the tomatoes just look beautiful. And if you have a garden at home, your tomatoes are probably just about ready to start coming in. And you know how it goes when you have a garden. It's like all of your tomatoes come in at the same time and you're going to be like inundated with tons of tomatoes. So this is a great, easy way to use up a bunch of tomatoes in a really delicious way. It's going to call for about 2 pounds of tomatoes, and I've got 3 of these good sized guys here. The recipe that I'll be sharing actually comes from the New York Times Cooking. They call for a cubanelle pepper, which is like one of those longer, thin, like Italian frying peppers. And I didn't have, I wasn't thinking, I didn't get those when I was at the farmer's market, but there was a million of them there. But I do have a regular green pepper, so I'm going to use that instead. We also have a cucumber. I've already peeled it, but you'll see there's not a lot of chopping because it's basically all going in the blender. It calls for 1 small onion. Well, I got a big onion that I use part of for something else. So I've already got this peeled and just have to chunk it up. And I've got some garlic that I need to take care of. And then the rest of it is pretty simple. But those are, all these ingredients I got from the farmer's market. And I have to tell you, I put a lot of thought into what wine I was going to pair with this gazpacho because actually it is pretty tricky. Yes, it's a vegetable dish, and normally, hey Vicky, how are you? Normally for vegetables, you're thinking white wine, yeah, sure, but there's a lot of acid in gazpacho because of all the tomatoes. So with all that acid, I was thinking, do I pair it with something that's got high acid wine? You think Sauvignon Blanc, for example. But I was like, all that acid, I feel like it was just going to like rip out the inside of my throat, drinking all this acid. So, what I ended up choosing to pair with it is a Viognier. It's a little bit more fuller bodied, kind of like a full bodied wine, like a Chardonnay, but it's a little bit more fruity, and I think it's a little bit heartier. And I have a glass of it here. It just so happened I had a bottle from a recent pickup at Stone Tower, so I'll show you the bottle. There it is. That is the 2020 Viognier Reserve from Stone Tower. So that's what I'm drinking tonight. So, and after I make this, making something that's actually fun, and I think all the kids will like it. It's called watermelon pizza, and that comes together in a jiffy as well. So it's perfect for a night like this when I get home late and I just want to eat something really fast. So, I forgot to get my knife. Duh. I can't really do any chopping if I don't have a knife. So basically what we're going to do, I don't even have to take the skins off of these tomatoes. We're going to core them and then cut them into big chunks. And I'll show you what I mean by that. And the coring is just simple. You just kind of cut the middle out, just like that. So then once the core is out, I'm basically just going to cut it into big chunks. This is all going to be going into a blender. And I'll show you how big, basically cutting it into quarters and then cutting those in half, because I've got a pretty good sized blender here. Also, happy Amazon Prime Day for those of you who are Prime members. I'm going to have a couple of links for a couple of things that are Prime on sale for Prime Day. one of them was an item that I was just recently at a horse show and ran into somebody at the horse show who said, "I love your cooking videos." She goes, "But I tell you, I really love that little box that you keep your salt in." And I was like, "Really?" And I said, "Well," I said, "I think I got it from Paula Deen." So what I did is I found a link to it on Amazon, and it actually happens to be on sale. It's actually really cute. It's made out of bamboo, and which is a renewable source. And it's really, quite easy. And the other thing that I have a link to is my Ninja blender, which I love because it makes quick work of putting this stuff together. And that is also on sale for Prime Day too. So if you don't have a blender, I'd recommend taking a look at this one. It's great for smoothies. Cleans up really quick. There. I'm on my third tomato here. And what I'm thinking I might have to do is kind of blend this half at a time. So what I'll do is blend up one full batch for y'all so you can see it. And then I'll do the rest later. And actually what you'll also notice is that the recipe will call for for it to go in the refrigerator either for a minimum of 6 hours or overnight. So obviously I won't be doing that for you, but I will kind of plate it up for you so you can see what it looks like. So I've got my green pepper. I've just cut the top of it off and just took out the seeds and everything. So this is just going to get chunked up. And then I've got my cucumber. So, and when I say chunk, I mean chunk. These are big. And the same with the cucumber. I just cut the ends off. And then I'm cutting this big cucumber into like 4 pieces like that. And I'll probably cut them in half. Just so it's a little bit. So what I'll start doing is putting these items into the blender. So here is my blender. As you can see, it's pretty big. So I'm going to start putting some of this stuff in here. So I'm going to put in half my cucumber. And then half my green pepper. And then I'm going to put in half my tomatoes. All right, that looks like about half. And then I'll put the rest of this out of the way. There. And I think, I called it the best gazpacho because I think this is a really creamy recipe. A lot of times gazpacho can taste like, just really like watered down salsa, which I don't know. I like salsa, but that's not really what I want when I'm having a gazpacho. So and I think what the difference is that this has a good bit of olive oil in it and it gets emulsified in there, and that's what makes it a little bit creamy. So I'm just peeling my garlic, which is like my least favorite job, which is why I usually get the jarred garlic. But like I said, I just got home, so I didn't get to do as much prep beforehand as I normally do. So, and the other thing is I just got my nails done too, so that makes it a little bit harder. Okay. All right, we're almost there. But the good thing is that I really don't have to chop this up any further. I can just put the whole clove into the blender. I just want to get the skins off. Yuck. Because nobody likes skin. Nobody likes garlic skin in their food. There we go. So my one garlic clove peeled. Now I'm going to go ahead and chunk up this onion. Like I said, because of just the size of my container, I'm going to just put half of this in here, and the other half I will. There. And I'll put this aside. All right. I'm going to take this away. So just hold that thought. Okay, so I've got a half a cup of olive oil. I like to use a good olive oil. I like, just grocery store availability. I like to use California Olive Ranch. This is the global brand. I've noticed that you can get a variety of the California Olive Ranch olive oil that is just California, which is interesting. One of these days, maybe I'll do a taste test between the two and see if I can, see the difference. Or maybe people just like, made in the USA as opposed to a blend. This blend is from olives from Argentina, Portugal, Chile, and 10% from California. So I think it's time for a drink. Good. So to this, I'm going to add some salt. And here's that salt box that I was telling you about. This is what my friend at the horse show really liked. So it's a little bamboo container. It's got two compartments. You could use it for salt and pepper. I use it for two different kinds of salt. I'm going to put like a good healthy couple of pinches in here. There we go. And then I'm going to move my wine glass so I don't spill it. And get my blender set up so that you can actually see what it's doing. Okay, so my blender is going to go on, lock it in place, get the lid, and I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in here just to get it started. And then my top goes on. You definitely do not want to forget to put the top on because you'll have a mess. So this is going to be a little bit loud, so I'm just going to try to do it as fast as I can. And you can see now it is really chopped up, and you saw how quick that was. So what I'm going to do now is there is a little bit of a lip thing here for pouring. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on a lower setting, like that was on high, so I'm going to put it on medium, and I'm going to start pouring this in slowly so that it starts to emulsify. So if you add it slowly, think of like making mayonnaise, or where you don't want to just dump all the oil in, you want it to slowly incorporate. That will get you the consistency that you're looking for. So let's try medium. I'm gonna try low. So yeah, it was a little bit messy, but not as messy as it would have been otherwise. Now I only put half of this in here because remember I'm only doing half. And I did get a little bit of a mess on my hands here, but it's mostly just tomatoes. So I'm going to use my little dish towel here to clean myself up. And from here, I'm going to take it off the blender. I'm going to release. And I'm going to do a little taste. Let's see how it tastes. Grab a spoon. That's good. It's going to be really good when it's cold, but it's quite good. So the next step, which is actually kind of an interesting step here, is we're going to use a strainer and we're going to push all of the liquid through. I'm going to use my strainer into a bowl here. I'm going to pour this in and it'll remove all of the solid bits. So this will probably take the longest of all the time. So I have a spatula and I'm just going to kind of press this through the sieve to get the liquid out, but you could also use a food mill. I don't have a food mill. So, hey Charles, how are you? Hey Sherry. Yeah, this is coming through. So a food mill would probably be a good thing to use on this, but I don't have one. And, it's like another piece of equipment. I'm already into several different rooms in the house with kitchen stuff and gadgets because I love my gadgets. But I think adding the olive oil to this really makes a big difference. It takes away some of that zing of the acid. And then, so I'm going to keep working on this a little bit, but I might just pour it into my pitcher. So I like to store this in the refrigerator overnight. So it gets super cold and all the flavors meld. And when it's ice cold, that's when it's best. So the way I like to serve it is actually in a glass. And because it's almost more like a drink than it is a soup. Yeah, I've got about half of this kind of pushed through here. So I'm going to just show you what it looks like before I put it in the freezer. Put this in here. There's that. Let me grab a glass and I'll show you what it looks like. So regular little old-fashioned glass. Hey James, how are you? And I'm going to pour. And then this I would finish off the top with maybe just a little bit of garnish, maybe a little drizzle of olive oil, maybe a little tiny basil leaf would be really sweet. But I can tell you right now, it's so delicious, so delicious. So that's how easy it is. Put it in the refrigerator, have it when it's cold. It's awesome. So I need to make a little bit of room here to show you because I'm going to be serving this with this fun little recipe called watermelon pizza. And it's really about as simple a recipe as you can imagine because it's basically just watermelon that's kind of has some things on top. Let me grab a plate I have a plate here. And I'm just going to show you with so I have some slices of watermelon, and you can take like 4 of these and, hey, Nikki. You can take make them and look like a pizza, like put like 4 quarters together. And basically what we're going to do is I have some Kalamata olives. And I have a little bit of mint. I didn't get this at the farmer's market. I only needed a tiny bit. But if you grow mint at home, you'll know that it grows like a weed. So if you're growing mint at home, you always have mint. And then I just need some feta cheese. I almost always have feta at the house. It's almost always on my grocery list if I'm running low because I just really love it. So what we're going to do is take a little bit of feta. And I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit on top. Just a little. And then I'm going to get a little chopping board. And I'm going to take a little bit of the mint. I'm just going to take them off the stems here. And you really only need a little. Like if I were doing like 4 to 6 slices, you need like maybe 2 tablespoons of mint. You don't want to have like a ton of it. And I'm just going to chop that up a little bit. So this is a way that you can eat watermelon, which is so refreshing on a hot day. And it's going to be really, really hot over the next few days. I think by the end of the week here in Virginia, it's going to be like super duper hot. So something like watermelon is really refreshing. It's got so much water in it. So there I've got some mint chopped up. I'm going to sprinkle that on. And by the way, this recipe I got from that app that I've mentioned before. It's called Flavors. Flavr. There's no O. And it's actually a recipe from Eric Repair, who is a very well-known chef. So to have him come up with something that is so kind of simple is kind of nice and refreshing. Of course, the recipe, you'll notice when it gets loaded, also calls for Niçoise olives, which are kind of a big specialty olive. I couldn't even find it at Wegmans. So I think the only way to get the Niçoise olives for me would be to try to find them online and order them. And maybe one day I'll try that. But the Niçoise olive evidently is the kind of olive that you would use in a Niçoise salad. They are an olive, but they have a slightly different flavor. And this recipe calls for like 2 tablespoons of chopped calamatas and 2 tablespoons of the chopped niçoise. So I'm just using Kalamata. I'll just use extra. And I'm going to chop them up and put them on. Oh boy, that looks really sweet. Looks really pretty, actually. Let me show you. Just wipe my hands off. And look, watermelon pizza. So I'm going to try that right now. Oh wow, that's really good. There's like the saltiness of the cheese and the olives, and then the minty. Mint just tastes so delicious with watermelon. It's just like the sweet and the salty and the sweet and the kind of briny. It's just really delicious. I definitely recommend this. So both recipes are going to be available when this video gets downloaded. That will be tomorrow. The recipe will be in the comments, along with I'll put links to the salt box and the Ninja blender, both in there, both on sale, Amazon Prime. very reasonably priced. And and I'll let you know more about the wine too. So this, of course, is Viognier. Cheers. So good. All right. So you guys have a great night. I'll be back next week, and I'm really excited. I'm really digging into the Mediterranean diet. So in the next couple of weeks for sure. I've already tested these recipes, and they are awesome. So I'm really excited to share the next few weeks with you as well. Have a great night, guys.